Good evening, everyone. We'll just wait a few moments while a few more people join. Won't be a moment. Evening, everyone. We're just waiting a moment for everyone to log in and join. Won't be a moment. Evening, everyone. We'll just give everyone one more minute and then we'll get underway. Thanks for waiting. Well, good evening, everyone. I might start the session this evening. So before we get underway, it's my responsibility to acknowledge the traditional custodians of all the lands in which we're meeting here tonight. For me, that's the Turrbal and Yagara peoples. Pay our respects to their elders past, present, and those which are emerging. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. It is my great honour and privilege to tonight launch the first in our CSI group launch, which is through our CSI week, which is contemporary community pharmacy practice. And it's an acknowledgement from PSA that there is a significant proportion of our members and a significant proportion of the profession who work, practice and live community pharmacy. Can you please flick to the next slide for me, Faye? So I wanted to launch, before I hand over to Faye, by giving some information around the background to the communities of specialty interest, why we have put them together and why we've invited you along to share in that journey. I think from the outset, we should acknowledge that PSA is really committed to our memberships and the profession more broadly. And the primary responsibility around that is our strategic approach to the sector of community pharmacy, the policy and advocacy that lies in behind that, and some of the education and training. One of the things that we feel that the PSA has missed with members, particularly from an engagement point of view, is establishing a community of practice, a safe place for pharmacists with like minds and like interests to come together, share ideas, thoughts, and provide that back into PSA so that we can take those great ideas and thoughts and put them forward as part of our own strategy and training and education moving forward. The CSIs hopefully will be your protected and special voice within PSA for community pharmacy practice. Next slides, Faye, please. So from my perspective, the CSIs, particularly the community pharmacy CSI, will operate on multiple levels. The first thing to acknowledge is that this will be a member-only benefit, that you need to be a PSA member to be a part of this community of practice. At the highest level, I think these CSIs will provide an opportunity for the group, people on the ground in community pharmacy, whether they be proprietors, pharmacy managers, people who are leading professional services or innovating within community pharmacy, to help set the strategy. And what I mean by that is PSA has the Pharmacists in 2023 strategy. It is a broad and overarching document. I think what needs to sit behind there from a CSI perspective is some very specific actions and tasks that can move the community pharmacy sector forward. Pharmacists in 2023 is we're already halfway through, and we're already now starting to look forward to our next strategic document beyond 2023. And the work that will come out of this CSI will be integral in shaping what that looks like from a PSA perspective. The CSIs will also have a significant role within the policy and advocacy space for PSA. Through Faye, and I'll introduce Faye to you all, for those of you who may not know Faye, through Faye, our chair, there'll be a go-to person for our policy and advocacy in relation to community pharmacy practice. So that will be a national voice on topics around community pharmacy. Faye will lead through the CSI. Your thoughts and ideas, should there be a submission be required on community pharmacy. You know, we only have to think back a few years ago to the King Review and how great it would have been to have the CSI available to PSA to gather those thoughts and ideas in helping PSA shape its response to those submissions. One thing that I think PSA has done relatively well over the last couple of years is our policy and advocacy, but sometimes where we've been not doing so well is making sure our members are well supported in taking up those policy and advocacy wins when they come due. And I think the CSIs will provide a great opportunity to provide input into PSA in terms of what tools, resources, training and education is needed to make sure that the profession can come along with us as we start to deliver on some of those policy and advocacy wins. And I think fundamentally the fourth pillar is around a community of practice, a safe space, as I said, for community pharmacists to discuss issues which are topical, to discuss policy, to talk about clinical scenarios, a place where we have varying levels of experience and mentorship for people to come along and express their ideas and thoughts. Next slide, please, Faye. So from a governance point of view, the CSIs will eventually feed directly into the CEO, Mark Kinsella. And this is a really important point because what we don't want the CSI's output to do is to be separated from the operational component of the organisation. We want to make sure the ideas, thoughts and suggestions that are coming through and filtered through the leadership group have direct influence on what the organisation is actually doing. And so that's really important. Of course, the board will be there from a governance and oversight point of view, but there'll be a direct line into the highest levels of the operational structure of PSA. The other nice thing I think about the CSIs is the flexibility it offers. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So there might be someone who's very passionate about community pharmacy and wants to devote a lot of energy and effort into making sure that that sector progresses really strongly. And we would be encouraging those people to join either the practice or the leadership groups in doing so. But there are some people who simply just want to know what's going on in the sector, and rather than contribute to the community of practice, for example, oops, sorry, I was just muted then for a second. They will be able to simply join and observe or be mentored by someone more experienced. And so this structured approach through the leadership group, the practice group, and the interest group allows for that flexibility. So everyone who's interested, who's a PSA member for the community pharmacy CSI, will automatically be enrolled in the interest group. Faye will go through, and as you'll see, you'll be able to apply to become one of the practice group members, and this will be based on things like contribution, mentorship, experience, and those sorts of qualities. And then we have a much smaller, and Faye will introduce them to you, leadership group, which will be doing a lot of the moderating, putting out calls for submission, getting your feedback on things that are topical within the sector at that point in time. So that flexibility is key. So we're not a one-size-fit-all approach. It really is tailoring. And of course, someone's capacity and interest might vary over time, and you might be very interested for a period of time and then drop back into the interest group or practice group thereafter, and then go back up. Next slide, please, Faye. So this really does explain the tiers, where all members who have wanted to sign up to this particular CSI will be admitted into the interest group. We then have the next layer up, which is the practice group, that will, as I said, be based on participation, experience, and contribution. And then the leadership group will be through an expression of interest process following the initial launch. We also have internally PSA staff champions. And again, this is a really important component. This is to make sure that the CSIs are integrally bound into the organisation and not something just onto the side and left to their own accord. The ideas and feedback that are coming through will directly come through the leadership group and that PSA staff champion. Next slide, please, Faye. So you've had enough of listening to me speak. I'd like to now introduce to you Fei Sim. For those of you who may not know Fei, Fei is a senior lecturer and coordinator of international engagement at the Curtin Medical School at Curtin University over in WA. She has served as the PSA WA branch president since 2017 up until 2001, where she was then appointed to the PSA National Board. Faye, for those of you who may not know, she is a proprietor in, I think it's 2 community pharmacies, Faye, is that right? And also does some work with the pharmacy board around the oral examinations. Faye holds a PhD in pharmacy practice and also obviously a Bachelor of Pharmacy degree, but with first class honours. She is also a qualified immuniser, which you're going to be putting to good use now and into the future, and is also an accredited mental health first aid instructor. Faye is a fellow of the PSA and also the Higher Education Academy, and is a graduate member of the Australian Institute of Company Director. Because of Faye's experience and her breadth of knowledge, she serves on a number of professional and academic related committees. Faye, it's my great pleasure to hand over to you to take the group through the community pharmacy practice CSI.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I too would like to pay my respects and acknowledge the traditional custodian of the land upon which we are meeting today. For me, it is the Wajak Noongar people, and pay my respects to the elders past and present. I am extremely delighted, if I could use the word ecstatic, to be here tonight and this evening to talk to you all about the CSI on contemporary community pharmacy practice. I really am very delighted, but before I talk about the CCPP CSI, which is what I'm going to call it, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank Associate Professor Chris Freeman national president. And I believe Chris may have mentioned to me at some stage that he came up with this idea to run this CSI, maybe between the hours of 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. when he couldn't sleep and thinking about, what to do at PSA, how to actually, make pharmacy better. And of course, then that evolved into a lot of discussions with the board, with the committees, and then finally, then effectively executed by management under the leadership of our CEO, Mr. Mark Kinsella. I also want to acknowledge Chris Wyatt, who's our coordinator for CSI, who has been working tirelessly in the background to make everything work. If we have any IT issues whatsoever, he's the person that I go to. I send him an email, within a few seconds, he comes back with a response. He's amazing. I also want to acknowledge Chris Campbell, who is our general manager at the PSA for policy and engagement. And of course, my fellow leadership group members, and I will be introducing them later, and they're just some of the most amazing people in the community pharmacy practice area. So, I'm sure you don't need me to say this, but we would all agree that in the last 10 years in particular, we have seen some significant paradigm shift in community pharmacy practice, in the way how we practice pharmacy in the community. From, product-based only service model in the past 20, 30 years ago, to now having actually a very heavy focus on patient-centered care and to actually deal with patients, provide services, and actually really meeting their medication-related needs. Now, if you ask me, this is actually a very positive paradigm shift. And this is not only a positive one, but it is also a demand-driven paradigm shift. It is driven by public need. It is driven by the need of our health system. However, any shift in practice comes with its challenges. And all of you here tonight, you would either be practicing in community pharmacy, or you would be a pharmacy student or a pharmacy owner, or somehow intimately related to the practice of community pharmacy. You would know what I mean when I talk about challenges and barriers and that we're faced in the community pharmacy environment. And literally, when I was preparing the slides, this slide literally took me no more than 2 minutes to come up with all of these items, because we simply have too many issues that we need to deal with and improve upon in the community pharmacy practice area. From 7 CPA, or leading up to the negotiation for the 8th CPA, remuneration, recognition of the things that we do as community pharmacists, the viability and sustainability of our community pharmacy sector. These are all major issues. And for people who know me, people would know that I'm a community pharmacist at heart. I'm a community pharmacist, and I would like to call myself a clinician. And many of my students would have heard me saying that. The definition of a clinician is one that has clinic contact with a patient. And this is exactly what we do as community pharmacists. So we are clinicians, but yet at the same time, we need to also ensure that, we have a viable and sustainable model for us to continue to do what we do best. And therefore, I'm a real big believer and a very passionate advocate to ensure that we can demonstrate that we can both be, a good clinician and at the same time a really good manager as well, because ultimately the community pharmacy network is there to ensure timely access to medicines by all Australians. Of course, we have other issues that we have to face in the community pharmacy practice area, like professional development of the individual practicing pharmacist, practice advancement and roles evolution, career satisfaction of pharmacists. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had my ex-students graduated a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years later, emailing me to say, can I come and have a chat? Because I'm just at this crossroad thinking, what should I do? Should I do something else? And they query about the career satisfaction. And that to me just really is sounding like we really need to do something about this. But also in the way we practice. How are we evaluating our practice? How are we generating the evidence that we need to demonstrate that what we are doing, in fact, is actually good work? And constantly we are faced with practice ethical dilemmas. We have to meet constant, ever-changing legal obligations and boundaries. even, the impact of COVID-19, we've literally had to change the way we practice on the run. Things that we do day to day with primary care, minor ailments, and self-care. Are we doing it consistently enough? But are we doing it consistently enough with high quality? How are we actually ensuring that we can be remunerated for those services that we provide? And of course, we've got workforce issues as well. How do we attract and retain talent within the profession? And it saddens me if I see someone who's a very competent, highly passionate pharmacist coming to me and say, you know what, I'm going to go and do something else. That to me says that something is wrong. We need to actually change this. And how do we actually retain that talent within the sector, keep them there so we can actually do better and move forward together as a profession? And of course, issues like service implementation, like immunization, new services that we provide. How do we actually support each other and support everyone practicing in the community pharmacy area? And of course, medicine supply, ongoing medicine shortages, lots and lots of issues. I literally ran out of space and I didn't really want to make the font too small so that you can't actually read them, but I can keep going. I think I've got a whole list that would take me like 2 days to finish, but you get the sense. What I'm saying is that there are a lot of issues that we need to work through, and these issues are highly intertwined, they are multifactorial, and it really is rather complex. And what we need is actually to put our heads together and really come up with a very strategic way moving forward. And I'm delighted to share this mission statement with you. So the first task that the CCPP leadership group have had to deal with is to come up with a consensus around our mission statement. So the mission of the PSA Contemporary Community Pharmacy Practice CSI group is to lead, develop, debate, guide, and support community pharmacy practice to achieve a patient-centered care, viable and sustainable practice model in the Australian community pharmacy sector that meets the contemporary needs of the community, the health system, and the individual pharmacist practitioner. Now, we in this CSI also recognise and acknowledge the need for a multifaceted, collaborative, innovative, and strategic approach to inform and drive practice improvement, service delivery, practitioner development, and remuneration. And so in this slide, I would like to just explain to you how we envisage the role of the CSI and the impact that we think this CSI will be able to achieve. Now, bear in mind that what is really exciting is that this is the first in the history of the Australian community pharmacy practice area that we are linking practicing community pharmacists, pharmacy students, pharmacy proprietors with PSA, the peak national organisation representing all pharmacists in Australia. So the way we see this is that the CCPP CSI will be a forum. Not only would it be a forum for the forum members, so community pharmacists, pharmacy students, and proprietors to debate and bring forward ideas within our own group. It would also allow us to then discuss and then provide advice to the PSA of current and emerging practice needs. It will also at the same time serve as a conduit between the PSA and the clinicians, whereby PSA can then provide ongoing support to workforce development and enable practice change and improvement. And collectively, what we then are able to work towards together is real and true, genuine policy and practice change for the better. If you think about it, everything that professional organisations like the PSA do is for the profession. But this particular CSI is so exciting because it allows us to capture the voices of the members in a very systematic and thematic way to then advise PSA's ongoing advocacy work. And of course, subsequently, what we're trying to say is that we then are able to achieve policy change by the profession for the profession. And of course, what we then will be able to do is then utilize this particular CSI platform to enable and share translational tool training needs, and facilitate uptake of anything new that we're trying to advocate for, to facilitate true implementation. So the impact would actually go back and flow back onto the clinician, so pharmacists, pharmacy students, and pharmacy proprietors. So I'd like to introduce our leadership group members now, and you have to bear with me because all of these people are amazing people. Their bios and their CVs are all extremely long, but of course, in terms because of time constraints, I've pulled out a few key items that I want to share with you about these leadership group members. So Caroline Diamantis, she is a very passionate community pharmacist with over 30 years of experience in pharmacy ownership. Caroline went on to become a director on the board of Bloom's The Chemist, where she spent several years advocating for female pharmacy owners and gender diversity in industry leadership positions, and mentoring early career pharmacists into ownership roles with programs designed to support and engage. Caroline was also elected as the 2017 Vice President of the New South Wales Pharmacy Guild, Chair of the Viability Subcommittee and Finance and Risk Subcommittee, and alternate National Councillor. In this role, she continued to advocate for community pharmacy, particularly clinical pharmacy, and for pharmacists to be acknowledged and remunerated fairly for their role in primary healthcare and the critical difference they make to health outcomes. I've had the pleasure to meet Caroline face-to-face once, but we've spoken many times over the phone, emails, and in fact, very excitingly, I got a text from Caroline today to say that we really hope that we could meet face-to-face at the next board meeting. Also, we have Bruce Annabelle. So Bruce is another well-known name in the pharmacy profession. Bruce is an acknowledged authority on commercial management and strategic planning issues surrounding the business of community pharmacy. Bruce was instrumental in the birth and continued success of Pitcher Pharmacy as one of Australia's leading authorities on the business aspects of community pharmacy management. He's an adjunct professor of pharmacy management at Queensland University of Technology. He is an authority on commercial management and strategic planning, but also Bruce frequently writes articles, and his articles are frequently featured in the Australian Pharmacist and in the AJP journals. And personally, I have found Bruce's articles to be very thought-provoking and inspiring. And I'm also very aware that Bruce has expertise in various models of practice and the economic and fiscal considerations of community pharmacy practice. And I'm extremely delighted to have Bruce on the team. Also, we have Keegan Wong. Keegan is multi-skilled and he is a true entrepreneur. He has managed 4 pharmacies in WA, and he's a current owner of Kalamunda Priceline Pharmacy, which was awarded the WA Priceline Pharmacy of the Year in 2019 under his leadership. Keegan was also announced as the WA Priceline Pharmacist of the Year in 2019. He's also our current PSA WA branch president, and he's already doing an amazing job. He is a massive advocate for professional pharmacy services, and I know firsthand that he is someone who, you know, talks the talk and walks the walk. In addition to that, I know, Keegan, you didn't give me this information, but I'm aware that you run a very successful photography business, and also you've recently opened up a bubble tea business as well. So if any one of you do come over to WA, we must visit Keegan's bubble tea shop. We also have Hannah Mann. Now, Hannah is another lady that I really don't know how she does what she does. She's very extremely inspiring. Hannah is the owner of 3 pharmacies in the remote northern part of WA under the Kimberley Pharmacy Services Group, to which she is the owner and the founder. Hannah is someone who has made real, genuine impact to improve the health of the Indigenous population. Some of them who lived in the most outback and isolated areas of WA. Her pharmacies are award-winning, and her hard work and achievements have also been formally recognised through numerous awards and grants. I was trying to list down every single award and grants that Hannah has received, but we will be here until tomorrow, 6 p.m. So I will not do that because I don't want to keep you here for too long, but Hannah is is extremely amazing, and I'm so happy for Hannah to be on board. We also have Karen Brown, another very innovative award-winning pharmacy owner. Honestly, every time when I read this and I look up these people, I feel very inadequate, because these are all very extremely high achievers and very inspiring people. So Karen, award-winning pharmacy owner, pharmacist, and an entrepreneur. Karen is the current managing partner of Terry White Chemmart Arana Hills. In 2021, Karen was recognised with Australia Day Honours, being awarded the Dixon Small Business Person of the Year. In 2018, Karen was awarded the prestigious Terry White Chemmart Pharmacist of the Year for her dedication to improving the health and well-being of a community. And her Sanford pharmacy won the National Terry White Chemmart Pharmacy of the Year. Karen has been a member of the Terry White Chemmart Advisory Board since 2018 and is a 4-time finalist in the prestigious Rhonda White Leadership Award. In 2018, she co-founded the Innovative Pharmacy Group, a collective group of like-minded pharmacists to share wisdom, experiences, and better ways to improve their businesses and the pharmacy industry as a whole. In 2019, Karen, a former Queensland Firebird netballer, founded Batch Tested, an online platform for athletes and supporting teams to have easy and safe access to certified and tested sports supplements. To me, Karen seems like she's demonstrated the perfect balance, you know, with of being a clinician, a pharmacy owner, and an entrepreneur. We also have Bridget Tournament. I'm extremely in awe of Bridget and her journey. Bridget is the Chief Operating Officer of the White Retail White Medical Group, leading and overseeing the management of, pay attention, 7 pharmacies, 8 medical practices, and support the office at the White Retail Group. She's the business owner of an additional 5 pharmacies. I really don't know how you do that, Bridget. You might only be sleeping an hour a day. I think that's the only way that this would work. Bridget was appointed Clinical Fellow of Queensland University of Technology in 2018 and is a member of the Course Advisory Group for QUT Bachelor of Pharmacy Honours. She sits on the Queensland Branch Committee of the PSA, and also she has been appointed as a member of the Australian Community Pharmacy Authority. Bridget has completed multiple courses. She's consistently upskilling, maybe between the hours of 3 to 4 a.m. But someone who's extremely inspiring as well. And she's also completed the Company Directors course by the Australian Institute of Company Directors. And last but not least, Noel Forsberry. Noel is a highly sought after pharmacist and pharmacy business partners. I've been chasing after Noel for 6 months to get him to agree to come and join the leadership group on this particular CSI. And literally 2 weeks ago, I had to catch Noel at a local pharmacy forum and pin him down to ask him to say yes, so that we all benefit from his expertise and experience. Noel has 39 years of experience managing pharmacies. He also has actively set up 3 pharmacies in greenfield sites from scratch. And we all know, if you've been in business, you know how difficult that is to set up a greenfield site, and he's done 3 of them. And he's been instrumental in the design and implementation of the works. Noel was the award winner of the WA Pharmacist of the Year in 2016 and the National Pharmacist of the Year in 2016, and also a number of other Curtin Faculty of Health Sciences Award as well. He's also founded Easy Dose Proprietary Limited, a methadone recording software used by pharmacists Australia-wide. So there you go, that's the blend of the leadership group that you have for a particular CSI. And you can see that every single one of these members on the leadership group bring together a very diverse, but yet a very deep experience and expertise to help guide the future of community pharmacy practice. All right, just very quickly in terms of member journey, how do you be a part of this awesome initiative? So simply head to psa.org.au. I sound like I'm on a radio. Simply head to psa.org.au/CSI. When you get in there, you will see the main CSI page. And that'll provide you with an overview of all of the CSI, and there will be this magic button for you to click and register to join this particular CSI. it is visible to members and non-members. Alternatively, if you are already a member, log in with your PSA login details, and you will be able to find these 4 tiles, and the CCPP CSI will be on the top left corner. Also, when you get in, you will find descriptions and information and background around each of these CSI group, and you can either join by clicking the join group button, or if you're already part of that, you can access the forum directly to start the exciting conversation. This is what the join form would look like, and it will allow you to identify your motivations, your areas of interest, your current career pathways, your qualifications, and so on. And also, very excitingly, I just want to say that student members are very encouraged to apply as well to join the CSI. After all, it is your future, so you may as well have a say. And of course, with anything, we have some ground rules that we would like everyone to follow, and they're called the forum community rules. And I'm not so concerned, because I know pharmacists, every single pharmacist that I know, we are rule stickler. If there's one thing we do well, is we follow the rules. So the CSI platform is intended for us all to be very supportive, very respectful, and for us to empower each other. And we want to create a safe space that is very friendly, but we would also obviously at the same time encourage robust, true discussions. All right, if you have any questions, our amazing CSI coordinator, Chris Wyatt, has created some instructional videos, how-to guides to help you navigate through the CSI platform. But if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to any one of us on the leadership group, and also get in touch with our friendly and approachable PSA membership team on 1300 955 162. So finally, let your passion be ignited and your voices be heard. I call on you, our PSA members, and if they're not PSA members, get them to join the PSA. There's really no reason why they should not join the PSA. So please, I call on you to join the contemporary community pharmacy practice CSI today and start contributing and to shape our future together. All right, I think we've got just a couple of minutes for questions. Do we have any questions, Chris?
Hi, Faye. Yeah. There's nothing from the floor just yet, but if people would like to either unmute themselves and speak, or type their comments into the question in the chat box, and I'm happy to relay that on their behalf if they would not like to unmute themselves. But maybe while people are thinking about that, Faye, maybe you want to reflect on maybe some of the early things that you're thinking about in terms of the direction for the CSI, and some of the early work that that you think the CSI might start to work on?
Yeah, definitely, Chris. You know, to get down to business, what we're hoping is to really form the CSI-CCPP practice group literally in the next fortnight. And once we've got that, the first task is actually to come up with some key areas that we want to focus our energy onto as key areas, and to actually formulate a white paper. And we envisage that the white paper, we envisage that we want to create a white paper that is really meaningful. And in order to do that, we would like to gather the voices and the perspectives of members and practicing pharmacists and pharmacy owners. So that will be the immediate task that we would focus on, which is to work on creating that meaningful white paper. And of course, then the white paper will be used subsequently by PSA management, and to really use that to inform and guide future practice in the community pharmacy area.
Faye, what do you think is probably the most challenging thing in community pharmacy practice at the moment? What do you think is the thing that's challenging most people in the sector at the moment?
Well, I think we have a myriad of issues, but the two key issues that come to mind, and they're intertwined, highly interrelated: remuneration, as well as workforce capacity. In terms of remuneration, for those of you who were at PSA 21, I put forward this idea in that I feel that the current remuneration model that we have simply does not support quality. In actual fact, if I spend more time with a patient, I get penalized for doing that. So I think that then has a direct, if I be honest, that has a direct impact on career satisfaction of community pharmacists, because pharmacists want to be pharmacists because they're passionate people. And you know, if they're being penalized in a way by spending more time and providing higher quality services to their patients, that's not a right model in my mind. So really what we need to do is to actually come up with really an innovative model that actually facilitates and prioritizes quality over quantity, and really a remuneration model that reflects the complexity of the nature of the services that we provide, instead of simply on the volume. So it really should reflect complexity and the quality of the services that we provide. And the other big issue that we face, and I live and breathe that as an academic, is workforce capacity issue. Especially in the community pharmacy area, we are seeing really good quality pharmacists leaving the community pharmacy sector, whether they're moving into other sectors or leaving pharmacy altogether. But I think it's all to do with, if I can bring it back to career satisfaction and really, you know, the purpose of them being in the profession. So I think, you know, I really want to make community pharmacy good again, and I want people to feel that community pharmacy is their first choice.
Wonderful, Faye. I'll just give a moment if anyone would like to either raise their hand or unmute themselves to ask a question of Faye or of me around the CSIs more broadly, or if you wanted to quickly type that into the chat box. Faye, as people are either thinking or doing that, did you want to just move quickly on to the next slide? So I do appreciate we are getting close to the amount of time we've been allocated here, but if you do have any comments and questions, please feed them through. I just wanted to alert you to some upcoming events that are happening. So PSA is running our CSI week. So we've got obviously the launch tonight with the community pharmacy CSI, and then over consecutive nights this week, we'll have our other CSIs launched in a similar forum. Also, next week is our PSA Connect event, where it's an early career pharmacist event looking at different areas of practice, having some key people from different those areas speak to that as well. And thank you, Christy Lee, for the question. I'll just come to that in a moment. And of course, leading up to World Pharmacist Day on the 25th, we have our PSA Excellence Awards, which have been deferred from our conference, which unfortunately had to go online this year. And in the lead up to World Pharmacist Day, which is all around the trust provided for pharmacists, we'll be highlighting pharmacists working amongst many different areas of practice, including the community pharmacy sector. So please keep an eye on your socials in and around that. Christy Lee, your question was around, will this group shape the vision of the future of the community pharmacy practice model? I'll hand that over to you, Faye. Faye, can you hear us? As Faye's coming back on, we'll quickly go to the next slide, which is the launch of our other CSIs during the week. So if you have an interest in any of those other CSIs, please log in and have a look at that. You can either do that by coming to the forum or coming and having a look via the website. And to the next slide. Just to reinforce our PSA Connect webinar coming up on the 22nd as well. So Christy Lee, perhaps I can have a go on maybe on Faye's behalf, who's, oh no, she's off mute now.
Sorry. Who knows, when you're looking at the chat box, that button just disappears. I learn something new every day. Hi, Christy Lee. Yes, definitely. I mean, that's what we envisage this particular CSI to do, is to actually bring our heads together and really help shape the future of community pharmacy practice. And I know, and I've read a few of your work as well, and I would be delighted for you to join our particular CSI.
Thank you, Faye. All right, everyone, we're right on time. Really, my sense is that from small things, great things, big things grow. And so I think this will be an organically growing community of practice. And it's great that we've got some enthusiasm and a great leadership to take that forward into the future. And I look forward to hearing from you all soon as we really get underway with our CSIs. So with that, thank you for coming along tonight. I appreciate you spending a Monday night with us. And we'll see you all shortly. Have a good night.